Very good morning to all of you guys. So, welcome to the session. Hearty congratulations, Iron Man. So, we'll start with the session. Just give me a minute to upload the PDF. Right. So, how is all your preparation going on? Why, Bhavik? Because of IPL. No, no, no. You should. I think we have only time till another 70 days. 70 days we have. I understand it is difficult, but you keep a target. Like, today if you are doing 6 hours of study, try to keep it tomorrow more better. So stick to your plans. Did you make a plan? All those who are not able to concentrate, I want you people to make a plan. So when you keep a plan, when you try to go according to the plan, I think you will stick to the plan. And probably the first few days, you'll not be able to stick to the plan and you might not be going here and there, but later you can. And all those students who are December exam going, I think IPL we can see again and again. You get the repeat telecasts also, no? Or if you want, you keep somebody to tell you who won and all, okay? But don't waste your time in IPL. See, IPL can be wasted, time can be wasted for IPL for third year students or final year students who are not exam going, right? Yeah, highlights you watch for 3 minutes. Anyway, I'll not discuss about IPL. Right, let's start with the session. Let's start with the session. So, Zoom. Okay, we'll start with the session. So I have tried to accumulate some of the questions from the topics which I told. So now we will start with the session where I'll show you the questions you have to answer accordingly, and then we'll see. So now your target should be from yesterday, how many ever marks you got, at least 2 marks more than that. That should be your target. Okay. Right. So this is the image. What is this sign? Is my question. This is the image. What is this sign? Is my question. Identify. Is it Osiander sign, Palmar sign, Piscak sign, Hagar sign? Are you able to start reading each other's comment box or what? Oh, they have opened the chat box. That's why I can see such a good. Okay, only for the plus. Why many of you are answering this question wrong? So today to start with, I have Aparna in the first place, I have Shepherd in the second place, and I have Lavanya in the third place. I had only 50% of you answering this correct. So what is this sign? What do you see in this picture? In this picture, we see that on bimanual examination, both fingers are approximating. Whenever on bimanual examination, both fingers approximate, we call it as Hagar's sign. We call it as Hagar's sign, right? On bimanual examination, when your both fingers oppose, it is called as Hagar's sign. Why does the fingers oppose on bimanual examination? Excellent, because the lower uterine segment is empty as well as the different, it is soft. It's empty and soft. That's the reason why we have on bimanual examination approximation of the lower segment. Now, even in your dreams also, you should answer these signs. You can't afford to lose marks in these signs. What is Osiander sign? What is the Osiander sign? Very good. It is the pulsations felt in the lateral fornices. Pulsation felt in lateral fornices. What is Palmar sign? Palmar sign is the regular rhythmic contractions of the uterus. Regular rhythmic contractions of the uterus. This is the earliest which can see from 4 to 8 weeks itself. Piscak sign is the lateral implantation of the placenta, which is giving the differential growth to the uterus. Differential growth to the uterus. And what is Chadwick sign or Jacquemer sign? Chadwick sign or Jacquemer sign is bluish discoloration of the vagina. Goodell sign is Goodell sign is Goodell sign is softening of the cervix, right? Okay. Identify the anomaly based on the image below. Twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, monochorionic diamniotic pregnancy, monochorionic monoamniotic pregnancy, dichorionic diamniotic pregnancy. So now I have Arun, Divya, and Neha as well. All the other students also having the same score. So let's see how it changes. Excellent. So if you remember, yesterday I gave DCDA, right? Yesterday I gave you dichorionic diamniotic and lambda sign. And then you asked me how does T sign looks like. So today I kept the image of T sign. So if you can correlate with yesterday and today, I want you to have the track of that yesterday, today, so that you know this 1 week when you're doing the MCQs, I want you to have the track. Like, okay, so this is the placenta. From the placenta, and I have the amniotic sac coming out. So this looks like a T sign. This is a T sign. Yesterday we saw a very beautiful lambda sign. Today we are seeing T sign. T sign is seen in monochorionic diamniotic pregnancy. T sign is seen in monochorionic diamniotic pregnancy. Lambda sign is seen in dichorionic diamniotic pregnancy. And when do you do this scan is also one very important. At how many weeks you are supposed to do this sign? 11 to 14 weeks. 11 to 13 plus 6 weeks. Very good. Excellent. A mid-aged woman came to the OPD at 32 weeks pregnancy. She already had 2 first trimester abortions and she has a 3-year-old female who were born at the end of 8 months of gestation. Which of the following is her accurate representation? Take time, solve appropriately, and answer. Okay? Good morning, Gokul. How will I make the screen vertical? Excellent. I have 55% of you answering it correct, and I really wonder how you people do it so fast within seconds. Right. So today in first place I have Avinash. Very good, Avinash. Followed by Chirbit. Followed by Divya. Same score continuing for everyone, right? Okay, so this one, which of the following is her accurate representation is what they're asking. That is, they're asking about the gravida and para. So by now, I think again we are very much accustomed what is gravida and para. But yes, all those who have joined for the first time, I'll just tell you again. So gravida is total number of pregnancies. Gravida is total number of pregnancies, including the current pregnancy, right? So if you see here, she's pregnant now. She had 2 abortions and she had 1 twins delivered. She had 1 twins delivered. So on the whole, she had 4. She had 4 pregnancies. Now current 2 abortions and 1 twins. Twins, will you consider it as 1 pregnancy or 2 pregnancies? Twins will be considered as 1 pregnancy and 2 babies. 1 pregnancy and 2 babies. So if I have to write the scoring for this, it is G4. Now para includes, so what is para? Para includes total number of pregnancies that have crossed the period of viability. Total number of pregnancies that have crossed the period of viability. Current pregnancy will not be included. Current pregnancy will not be included. So she is 32 weeks pregnant. It has crossed the period of viability. So period of viability is again one controversy. Some take 24, some take 28. For clinical purpose, we always take 28 weeks. Okay. So here it has crossed the period of viability, but current pregnancy is not included in para. So she had only 1 pregnancy which has crossed the period of viability, that is the twin pregnancy. Again, twins is single pregnancy. So para will be 1. So it is G4 para 1. I think based on that, you all answered C, and you didn't try to go further forward. Matlab, you didn't see the other things at all. So smart way, guys, smart. But if I have to write the obstetric score for this, my obstetric score which I'll write for this is, so whenever you have an expression of plus 4 things, so it is TPAL, which we are going to follow. TPAL. That is, we have to see what is term, what is preterm, how many abortions, and how many living. Now, did she cross any pregnancy in the term? She delivered at the end of eighth month. So what does this mean? At the end of eighth month means somewhere around 32 weeks above, right? So she didn't cross any pregnancy beyond eighth month. So term will be 0. She had one pregnancy of preterm. So it will be 1. She had 2 abortions. So it will be 2. And how many babies she has? 2 babies. So the score is G4P1 plus 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2, right? And you all answered G4P1 based only on this one, and you didn't read this part, right? So I wanted somebody to put forward that it should be 2. I think there was one student whom I got mixed in this, but there was one student who put forward that it is abortions 2. Excellent, Vivek Vishni. Excellent, Vivek Vishni. So you're correct. This is abortions is 2, right? So I just want you to learn how to do the scoring. There is a definite possibility that we can get a question on obstetric scoring, because obstetric scoring is a basic, and if I expect my intern to come to my hospital, I want him to know the obstetric scoring. So they are trying to see your practical aspect, then the theoretical aspect. So this is something very practical, so they can ask you. Another way of asking you this obstetric score is, most of the time we don't go for PPAL system. Most of the time we go for GPAL, that is gravida, para, abortion, and living. So gravida is total number of pregnancy, para is total number of pregnancies that have crossed the period of viability, Mona. So the total number of pregnancies which have crossed the period of viability, we call it as para. Abortions, those pregnancies which have ended before 24 weeks. Living, how many ever living kids they have. Who will write? Now I want you people to tell me what will be the GPAL system for this question. I want you people to interpret GPAL system for this question. So gravida will not change. Okay, so I have G4, P1, A2, L2. Excellent, guys. So let's see again. So you have 4 pregnancies, so gravida is 4. How many pregnancies have crossed the period of viability? Now, this might have not crossed 37 weeks, but this has crossed 28 weeks. So para will be 1 here. Abortion, she had 2 abortions. Living, she has 2 kids. Twins may, para will be 1, living will be 2. Okay, so living 2. What will be the living if one baby is alive and one baby is dead? In the twins, again it will go for 1. Again it will go for 1, right? So that is very, very important, guys. So yes, so that's about the gravida and para. Okay. So let's go to the next question. What is the optimum method of screening for chromosomal abnormality in a monochorionic twin pregnancy at 13 weeks of gestation? Now, some of my students might know this question priorly, but there is a small twist in this question. You have to think properly for this question. Rule out other options to come to particular answer. So this is one of my favorite question. Yes. So Sarah, Palmer sign is regular rhythmic contractions of the uterus. They are regular rhythmic contractions of the uterus. I had only 15% of students answering this correct. Yes, on the scoreboard we have Avinash, Shraddha, Srija, and up to Manas and I don't know the other name. Very good, guys. Okay. So, first and foremost, let's understand this question. They're asking what is the optimum method of screening for monochorionic twin pregnancy at 13 weeks. Some of you have answered for amniocentesis. I want you people to answer me, is amniocentesis a screening method or a confirmatory method? Especially those all who have answered it wrong, I want you to get involved and be participating. Okay. So it is a confirmatory method. So this is wrong. This is gone. Okay. Next, let's keep combined screening method apart. Non-invasive prenatal testing. What is the other name for non-invasive prenatal testing? It's also called as cell-free fetal DNA. It's also called as cell-free fetal DNA. So here you take the fetal DNA for testing. Fetal DNA from where? From whose blood? Maternal blood or fetal blood? You take maternal blood for measuring the cell-free fetal DNAs. Some amount of our DNA, baby's DNA, enter the maternal circulation, and we pick up those. So in non-invasive prenatal testing or cell-free fetal DNA, we take maternal blood for measuring the aneuploidies in the fetus. We take the maternal blood for measuring the aneuploidies in the fetus. At how many weeks do you do this non-invasive prenatal testing? You can do this as early as, excellent Tohid, you can do it as early as 10 weeks and you can do it till term. Because this cell-free fetal DNA is not only used only for checking the aneuploidies, you can also use this for testing the fetal blood group. Testing the fetal blood group. So yes, you are doing it for karyotyping as well as for RH typing. Okay. Keep it aside. Now, very, very, very important. This is contraindicated in twins. Logic. How will you know which twins DNA has come into the mother? Both twins DNAs come into the mother. So how will I come to know which twin is affected? So I can't use this in twins. Now, everywhere, if you understand why, I think it will be easy for you that you will not get confused. Right? Simple logic here. Both twins DNA will come. So how will I know which twin come, which abnormality? So this is contraindicated in twins. Agar the question would have not been twins, my answer would be NIPT. But as it is in twins, I would not go for this because in twins, it is contraindicated to do NIPT. Okay. Now next, quadruple test. When do you do quadruple test? Again, all these, even in your dreams, also you should answer. So I repeatedly tell this, even in dreams, dreams also you should answer. Matlab, it should go so deep into your brain that even somebody wakes you in the middle of the night and asks you, what is the answer for this? You should tell and sleep. That deep. You should start getting dreams of IPL and you should start getting dreams of subject because we have very less time left for the December exam. Okay. So quadruple test is where you do this between 15 to 20 weeks. Quadruple test is done between 15 to 20 weeks. Now guys, I'll quickly tell you about the aneuploidy screening. First trimester screening methods are, you can do only double marker. So this slide should be imprinted in your brain. Double marker is beta HCG plus PAP-A. This is done between 11 to 14 weeks. NT, knuckle translucency, right? That is the translucent area at the nape of the neck. What is the cutoff for NT? NT less than 3 mm is normal. Less than 3 mm is normal. NT is also done between 11 to 14. If you do double marker NT separate, you are bad. They're not so great. But when you do combined screening method, that is double marker plus NT, the detection rate goes to 82 to 84%. That's fair enough. Coming to the second trimester screening method, and you also have NIPT here, which has 98% screening method, 98% chance of detection. Okay. And followed by that, I'll go for the next one, that is second trimester screening method. Second trimester screening methods are quadruple marker. All second trimester are done between 15 to 20 weeks. Quadruple marker, triple marker. And you also have integrated tests. That is combination of first trimester and second trimester tests. Quadruple marker is where you're going to use where we have beta HCG plus inhibin A plus alpha fetoprotein plus estriol, unconjugated estriol. Okay. In downs, beta HCG and inhibin A both increases. H for high, I for increase. H for high, I for increase. Triple marker is beta HCG plus alpha fetoprotein plus estriol. Triple marker does not include inhibin A. Okay. Inhibin A increases in downs. Okay. Now, as she is in, what do you say, 13 weeks, and as she's a twin, what is the best way? Better than a knuckle translucency will be combined screening test, right? That's why the answer is B. Did you understand how you have to rule out the other options in order to come to one answer? Okay, right. Now, one more point I'll tell you. NT scan should be done between 11 to 14 weeks. Between how many weeks to how many weeks? What should be the crown rump length to measure the NT scan? It's also a very, 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 very important point. The crown rump length should be between 45 to 84 mm. The crown rump length should be between 44 to 85 mm for you to do the NT scan. Now I have a question based on this point in the near next. Okay. A pregnant woman has been referred for a chest X-ray at 25 weeks of gestation. She is worried at the impact of ionizing radiation on her pregnancy. What is the accepted cumulative dose of ionizing radiation in the pregnancy? There was a very similar question like this in the NEET 2020. So, as I've been telling, there can be a possibility mixing of all the questions. So I will try to grill you through that. Yeah, it's now integrated. So you'll have integration of all the questions. So radio with gynec, medicine with gynec, physio with gynec, anatomy with gynec. Right? Thank you, Gokul. Thank you. Why many of you are answering 100 milligray? I thought many of you will get confused between A and B. Right? I thought you will get confused between A and B. So, first place, Srija. Avinash, you lost mark in this question. Anti. Second place, Anti. Third place, Avinash. Yes, the trap was for you to answer between A and B. See, I design in such a way that you should fall into the traps. So the more you fall into the traps, you start telling yourself, gee, I should not do this way. I don't want to be stuck between 140 to 150. And you'll start realizing that I should avoid doing silly mistakes, right? So now everyone will answer this point. What is the maximum permissible radiation in pregnancy? 5 rads. 5 rads. Very good, Surendra. So the maximum permissible radiation is 5 rads. So instead of giving it as 5 rads, I gave it in the milligray. 5 rads equal to 50 milligray. The question which was asked in NEET 2020 was, probably can come again for us, is What will you do when a woman got exposed to chest X-ray? Will you terminate that pregnancy? Will you continue that pregnancy? Excellent. You don't require to do anything. You can just continue because chest X-ray ka exposure is somewhere 0.000. So it doesn't matter. And most of the time while we are doing chest X-ray, we put the abdominal shield and we take the X-ray. So it doesn't matter. We can continue the pregnancy. Okay. Maximum permissible radiation. Guys, this is very, very important because it is given in Williams. I'm 100% confident and can tell like it is 5 rads. Maximum permissible radiation is 5 rads. Okay. No, those radiation exposure doesn't change with trimester. You have to just remember maximum permissible radiation is 5 rads. Okay. Now I have to little pick up the speed because we don't have I want to solve more questions. So, the cardiovascular system undergoes multiple changes in pregnancy in order to adapt to the demand of the developing fetus and labor. Which of the following parameters doesn't change? Now, just observe the question how I gave. I can give you this question just asking which of the following parameter doesn't change. But I didn't wanted to do that way. I just wanted to keep some, some sentence, essay, so that I can time and I can confuse you or I can scare you, right? That's what they're trying to do. Most of the time, it is some story which they're putting to your main question. Now, this probably, if you feel you don't know the answer, try to rule out. By ruling out, you will come to the correct answer. Excellent. I have 75% correct answer this question. Now, I have students asking, can we do MRI in pregnancy? You can do MRI in pregnancy, you can do ultrasonography, but there is a limitation for that also. CT scan is usually not preferable in pregnancy. Indeed, X-rays are also not preferable in pregnancy. You always see in front of X-ray room, pregnant women are not allowed. But you can let them, if they've undergone by mistake, you can continue it. So scoreboard remains the same, so I'm not going to show you now again. But yes, what happens to the stroke volume in pregnancy? Increases. Cardiac output increases. Indeed, we have a list of single liners about the cardiac output, right? Heart rate also increases. So you were all pretty confident about A, B, and D. So what remains unchanged is the capillary refill time. What are the things which remain unchanged in the capillary refill time and excellent pulmonary capillary wedge pressure and central venous pressure? These remain unchanged. Okay. Now, if I have to speak about the cardiac output, I'll just put forward some important points about cardiac output. So, I have some of you people telling me cardiac output decreases mild at term. It decreases mild at term compared to 32 weeks. Does it decrease to pre-pregnancy value? No. There is a mild comparative decrease, but it is still above the pre-pregnancy value itself. So, I'll just ask you to fill the blanks for the cardiac output as a single liners. Cardiac output starts to rise by 6 weeks. Starts to rise by 6 weeks. It is maximum in pregnancy at 28 to 32 weeks. If I have to choose single best, go for so it is maximum in pregnancy between 28 to 32 weeks. Single best answer would be 32 weeks, right? And at term, mild decrease, not to less than pre-pregnancy, not to less than pre-pregnancy. Cardiac output increases further by 50% during second stage labor. And cardiac output increases further by 70% post-delivery 1 hour. It increases further by 70% post-delivery 1 hour. So maximum chance of heart failure is in the post-delivery 1 hour, right? Again, you have to answer this even in your dreams. All dreams answering questions, no? A 32-year-old primigravida woman presents at 32 weeks of gestation with shortness of breath and tender abdomen. Okay. On palpation, her abdomen is large for date and appears tense. It is difficult to establish the presentation. What is the cause for the above condition? Carbamazepine treatment for epilepsy, Edwards syndrome, chorioangioma, twin pregnancy. Right, I will put this, you can try to answer. By mere presence of the question, it little scares me off, where is it heading? But when I see the options, I know probably what they're asking. Tender uterus, as soon as I saw tender abdomen, one thing strike my brain was abruption, right? But abruption doesn't have shortness of breath. Yes, probably if she has gone into DIC, it can have. But abdomen looks for large per day. Even that tells me probably this is an abruption because concealed hemorrhage can have large for dates. But I don't have a bleeding per vaginum, but I don't have the abruption. So my thinking was wrong. So that's how your answer keeps changing based on the question and the option. So yes, I'll tell you what was that question and what is the answer. Excellent, Srija, wonderful. 7 out of 7. So she didn't miss any question yet. Followed by we have Divya, Shraddha, Kritika, Suparva. Right. So let's start with this again. What do you think? What is the diagnosis? Sahil, what is the diagnosis here? Excellent, Shruti. This is polyhydramnios. This is a polyhydramnios. I didn't want to give you or tell that this is polyhydramnios, so I have incorporated all the symptoms of polyhydramnios into the question. So what did I write? Shortness of breath, which is a feature of polyhydramnios. Their abdomen will be so much stretched that it will become tender. So that's also a feature of the polyhydramnios. In polyhydramnios, it will be more than period of amenorrhea. I have put forward that also. It appears tense, it will rupture. I always tell it looks as if it ruptures, right? Can you, when baby is having lot of liquor and tense abdomen, you can't establish the presentation because baby keeps moving. Then I asked, what is the cause for the above condition? Carbamazepine treatment for epilepsy. Can this cause polyhydramnios? What all are the causes for polyhydramnios? There should be more liquor. So whenever baby will not drink, and whenever baby will pass more urine, baby can have polyhydramnios. Remember that simple way. Baby should not drink and the baby should pass more urine. Now, I wanted you to get confused from the very first option. So that is why I kept carbamazepine. Ideally, whenever you take the treatment for epilepsy, they will have cleft lip and cleft palate. With cleft lip and cleft palate, do you have polyhydramnios or will you have oligohydramnios? Cleft lip and cleft palate may baby is able to drink or baby is not able to drink. Think that way. Baby will not be able to drink. So there will be risk of polyhydramnios. Okay. But carbamazepine is one of the safe drug which has less chance of cleft lip and cleft palate. So that's why this is not the answer. Okay. Whereas if some valproate is there, valproate definitely has more risk for cleft lip and cleft palate. Right? Let's see the next one. Edwards syndrome. Does Edwards syndrome cause polyhydramnios or oligohydramnios? Edward causes oligo. Downs. Downs causes poly or oligo. Downs causes poly. Downs causes poly. Why does Downs cause poly? Downs cause poly because Downs has duodenal atresia, double bubble appearance. So whenever you have duodenal atresia or esophageal atresia, you have more chances of polyhydramnios. Very good morning, Murli. Thanks a lot. Right. Next, twin pregnancy. Actually, twin pregnancy also has chance of poly. But twin may you can also have oli poly. Twins may you have oli poly. Sometimes one baby has oli, one baby has poly. So twins is not so appropriate for polyhydramnios compared to chorioangioma. Chorioangioma is a tumor of the placenta which presents always, always, always with the poly. Did you see how many traps I kept in this question? So those many things, like, I just want you to understand each and every question and assimilate each and every question. Probably when you're solving it by yourself, it is a simple answer of choreo. But I wanted you to know this. When you understand the question to this depth, you don't miss any question. Now, guys, I always have this question: is this much required for FMG? I think probably after the August exam, you don't ask, is this required for FMG? This much is required for FMG also. Understood? I want you to just analyze, did you all understand this or not? If you don't understand, feel free to ask me at any point. Okay? Right. And what else? Yeah. Somebody asked Edward syndrome. Why does it cause? Edward syndrome goes for the IUGR. So that is why they have oligohydramnios. For oligohydramnios, whenever they are not able to pass urine or whenever they are having any renal anomalies, that will go for oligohydramnios. That will go for Edward syndrome. Sorry, that will go for oligo. Whenever baby is not able to pass urine and any renal abnormalities, they will go for oligo. And all IUGRs also will go for oligo. Remember that way. Okay. So let's go to the next question. Looks little squarey, but whatever you have learned till now, by that you should be in a position to answer this. Okay. A 39-year-old para zero, that is a primigravida, who is 12 plus 2 by last menstrual period, attends for dating scan. Attends for dating scan means her dates might be correct or not correct. She is keen to have screening for aneuploidy also. Based on her age, I think she wants to get a aneuploidy screening. Crown rump length is found to be 89 mm. What would be the best management with regards to dating the pregnancy and screening for Down syndrome? Now, I'm a little generous here. So, I'm giving you one more clue so that you all go towards the correct answer. Guys, she is 12 plus 2 weeks, but crown rump length is 89 mm. Does it match? Based on whatever I've taught you till now, you can answer this if you are thinking, if you have started thinking and analyzing. Very good, Anupam, Sarah, Lazybone, P. Excellent, Anupam. Very good. Very impressed. So till 85 or 84 mm, I made you write 45 to 84 mm was 11 to 14 weeks. So till 84 mm, it was 14 weeks. And now here it is 89 mm. I gave you the best possible clue for you to answer. So now I want you to catch that clue and answer it accordingly. Did I give a wrong answer? Wait. Just give me a minute. Yes. Good. I have 50% of you answering this correct. I have still 27% going for option B. So Srija, you lost in this question or the previous question? So I have Srija in the first place, Divya in the second place, Shraddha in the third place, followed by Kritika, followed by Superva, followed by Kaniki, followed by Aparna, followed by Atul and Priyanka and Punappan. Right? Okay, I think I gave you that this one. What do you say? Poll. So probably that. Okay, let's understand this question again. So the crown rump length is 89 mm, right? That means she falls into which trimester? So Surendra, which she falls into which trimester? She falls into second trimester. She falls into second trimester. What is the how do you measure the gestational age in the first trimester? So there are two things I have incorporated into this one question. Like examiners are being greedy to extract more answers from one question itself, right? So here the first trimester best way of assessing the gestational age or expected date of delivery is by crown rump length. Second trimester, what is the best way? Is by measuring the biparietal diameter. Third trimester, what is the best way of measuring? Femoral length. So this was one knowledge I wanted you to present. Okay. So first trimester, it is by measuring crown rump length. Second trimester, biparietal diameter. Third trimester, femoral length. Now, how many weeks was that lady? She was somewhere after the second trimester, beyond 14 weeks. So she comes into second trimester. As she comes into second trimester, what will be the best way of assessing her gestational age? It is by assessing the biparietal diameter. It is by assessing the biparietal diameter. This is one part. Second part, I think you would have not gone wrong with this part because you already know that whenever they are in second trimester, what is the better way of assessing for screening? It's the quadruple test. So that is why this is the answer. You have learned three things here, guys. She is second trimester because she was crown rump length 89 mm. And whenever they are in second trimester, the best screening method will be quadruple marker. Whenever they are first trimester, the best screening method will be combined screening method. Okay. Whenever these are abnormal, you go for NIPT. Right? Yes, very good P. It means her LMP was wrong. I told you she came for dating scan. So probably her LMP was wrong. Okay. Thank you, Murli. Right. So I have queries coming up here. That is query number 1. Rajat, I just now told what is quadruple test. So quadruple test is very good. I have Karthik answering for you. And NIPT whenever you have abnormal screening methods, abnormal screening markers, or when you have age more than 35 for women, or when you have abnormal scan, soft markers on the USG, then you go for NIPT. Then you go for NIPT. Okay? It's a very costly method. It almost costs around 30,000. Let's go to the next question now. The following of a single umbilical artery on examination of the umbilical cord, the finding of a single umbilical artery on examination of umbilical cord after delivery is. Which is the correct answer? So I have 59% of you answering this correct. So again, first place Rija, second place Shraddha, third place Kritika with all equal score. So finding of single umbilical artery on examination of the umbilical cord after delivery is insignificant is wrong. Normally, how many umbilical arteries you should have in the cut section of the umbilical cord? So you will have two arteries and one vein. Which vein is left behind? Very good, Tawhid. Left vein is left behind. Left vein is left behind. So you have two arteries and one vein, but if you have only one artery, it is definitely abnormal. So it is significant. It is the most common vascular anomaly of the umbilical cord. It occurs in 10% of newborns. That is too high. 10% is too high. So it occurs in 0.9% of the singleton pregnancies, and it occurs in 5% of twins. So it is more common, little or more common for twins. It is a indicator of major malformation in the fetus. Which is the most common anomaly associated with single umbilical artery? Anomaly, not aneuploidy. I'm not asking aneuploidy, I'm asking what is the anomaly which is associated. Excellent, Shruti. The most common are cardiovascular anomalies. If I have to give preference to cardiovascular and renal, I go little for a cardiovascular, followed by renal anomalies. I go little towards the cardiovascular, followed by renal anomalies. Okay, they are not equally common in diabetic and non-diabetic. They are more common in diabetic. So they are more common in diabetic, preeclamptic, black race. They are associated with polyhydramnios, poly and oligo. Okay, and the most common aneuploidy associated with single umbilical artery is trisomy 18. So whenever you have a single umbilical artery, you should always check for the cardiac abnormalities. Okay. On the whole, in general, which is the most common anomaly which you have? Cardiac or renal? In general. Very good, Arjun. In general, also, we mainly have cardiovascular anomalies most common. In general, also, we have cardiovascular anomalies most common. Okay. Fetal sex can be detected by USG at single liner. I'm expecting 90% to answer correct. Actually, notifications are coming little late. So I have 57% answering this correct, and another 50% answering wrong. No, fetal sex cannot be detected as early as 10 weeks. That as early as 10 weeks is for anencephaly. So fetal sex can be detected by USG at 14 weeks. It can be detected by USG on 14 weeks. Okay. You're asking me, is there any other method of detecting the fetal sex? Karyotyping. Right? But usually, this USG is 14 weeks. I don't know, morning, I should not speak something negative, but I recently saw some very bad news about this fetal sex detection. But I really don't want to speak something negative in the morning. When is the following sign elicited? 16 weeks, 20 weeks, 18 weeks, 12 weeks. What is this sign? Excellent. So this is no, no, no. Palmar sign. You can't feel the palmar contractions. This is called external ballotment. So whenever you move the baby from one side and you feel it on the other side of the hand, it's like because baby is in the water. So when you move from one side, the baby will touch the other side of your hand. And as you're doing it from outside, we call it as external ballotment. So when do you elicit external ballotment? Actually, it is the range. External ballotment is given in the range. So probably that's why some of you are answering 18 weeks. Yeah, options are little on a closer side. I also accept. Not nowadays, yeah. Always NBA does that way only. You have at least, it's always like that. They'll have 0.1, 0.01, 0.001, 0.0001, right? So, what is the following sign elicited is when you're pushing from one side, when you feel it on the other side, it is nothing but the external ballotment, and you can feel the external ballotment by 20 weeks. That will be the most appropriate. And but internal ballotment, you also have something called as internal ballotment. So, internal ballotment is through PV. Internal matlab through PV. So, through PV, when you push the baby will go touch the wall, uterine wall again and come back. Okay. So internal ballotment is seen by 16 weeks. External ballotment is by 20 weeks. Take an opportunity whenever you get a chance to go to the labor room. Instead of telling, no, no, I'm getting bored, do external, do internal. If you are not going to become an obstetrician, why do you want to lose this opportunity to have that feel? It's always nice to feel all these. Okay. So go, but be gentle. When you push the baby from one side, you'll feel touching it on the other side. It's so fun. And that is external. Similarly, when you push from below, what are the uses of this ballotment? Come on, yeah, you're doing as if third years will be always sitting in the labor room. When there is a will, there is a way. Next is this tell us that we have good amount of liquor. Can you elicit external ballotment in IUGR? No. Can you elicit external or internal ballotment in polyhydramnios? Sorry. Yes, polyhydramnios definitely yes. Can you use this for? Do you get external and internal ballotment if you have molar pregnancy? No. So a good practitioner doesn't require a scan for every small thing. By all these small things, we can tell and we can diagnose it, right? Oligo we can't elicit. Oligo we can't elicit. EDD question. What is the EDD of a patient with regular cycles every 32 days? Her LMP is 15th August. This time I tried to calculate it appropriately and do it, and I didn't want it to go wrong. So, yes. Calculate, yeah, take time and calculate. Don't answer in 0.1 seconds. It surprises me. Now, you're all surprising if I am wrong or you are wrong. Right, I have Superva answering in 4 seconds. It's always important to know. Again, this is something very common, and yes, it's always important for me to put forward these questions. Okay, the good progress is you're able to realize you're doing silly mistakes. So if you have done yesterday 5 silly mistakes, try to keep a target of decreasing the number of silly mistakes, so that by the time we go to exam, it should become 0 silly mistakes, right? So I have in first place Rija, second place Shraddha, third place Superva. Girls are competing full in Josh. Very good girls. First and foremost, she is how many weeks? She's how many? She's having how many days cycle? Very good, Bhavik. Bhavik, I'm happy with you answering that. For 7 plus 4, you should add, right? 28 days cycle. See, first I'll tell what is Nagli's formula. Nagli's formula is whenever you have EDD is equal to, for 28 days cycle, plus 7 days plus 3 months plus 9 months plus LMP, right? But what I use is for time saving LMP minus 3 months plus 7 days. This saves more time and I'm little easy for me to subtract 3 then add plus 9. So I go for the second formula always, right? Now this is for 28 days cycle. Whenever you have regular cycles more than or equal to 28 days, you have to add those many days to the 7 days. For example, here the woman is having 32 days cycle. So as the woman is having 32 days cycle, how many days you have to add to the 7 days? Excellent, Sassy. So you have to add plus 4. So 7 plus 4 goes for 11. Right? 7 plus 4 goes for 11. So I have to add 11 for the 15. So that will become 26. That will become 26. 8 minus 3. May. Will she deliver in the same? How can she deliver 3 months prior to her LMP? It is 2021. Did anybody answer C option also? Give a thumbs up if you have answered option C. That is heights of silly mistake. Severity of silly mistakes have increased. Very bad, Rajat and P. I want you to stop doing silly mistakes from today and now itself. Okay? It's not invalid. It tells how much silly mistakes you are doing. I wantedly kept that option. Right? Right. So that finishes this question. Okay, one last question before we end for the session. All are true regarding the following placental separation except peripheral separation, maternal surface presence at the vulva, blood between placenta and uterus, most common method of separation. Right. Okay. So on the whole, we have Shraddha in the first place, Srija in the second place, and Maha in the third place. Excellent, Maha. Followed by we have Superva, Kaniki, Dr. Sujin, Arun, Kritika, Derek, and Avinash. Very good, guys, and daily try to keep jumping here and there. This is not to tell you that you're all competing with each other, but this just gives us a positive mood. That's all, right? All those who have attempted came to the class. I think that's you have gained so much, right? This is just an additional thing. So all are true regarding the following placental separation except. Very good. So what is this? It is marginal separation. Can you see it is separating from one end to other end? This is marginal or Matthew Duncan. Yeah, of course. NEET aspirants can also attend the sessions. It's for both FMG as well as NEET, right? So this is marginal or Matthew Duncan. So it's a type of peripheral separation. And what surface do you see at the placenta, at the vulva is maternal surface. Marginal Matthew Duncan, everything M only. Maternal surface will be at the vulva, more blood loss, more blood loss. But this is less common. See, God is kind enough. As it causes more blood loss, so God has given more of central or Schultz. M marginal, M Matthew Duncan, M for maternal surface at the vulva, M for more bleeding. All MMM. Okay. So maternal surface at the vulva is also correct. Blood, yes, you see some amount of blood coming out between placenta and uterus. It is not most common. Most common is central or Schultz. Central or Schultz. Right. So I think that finishes our today's session. That finishes our today's session. Okay, explain EDD again. Right. So before I explain EDD, I'll just tell you. So all those who have joined today for the first time, daily morning at 7:30 a.m. Daily morning at 7:30 a.m. I am doing the sessions. So tomorrow also we'll have the session. Yes, if you read and come, it will be more beneficial than coming directly. Go through your notes. Whatever notes you have followed, read those and come. So tomorrow's topic is, so we have done with the medical disorders. We have done with these were the basic obstetrics. Tomorrow's topic is pregnancy complication, obstetric complications like APH, PPH, preterm labor, PROM, postdatism. So only these topics, I want you to read and come these topics. So pregnancy complications, from there I will try to ask you questions. APH, PPH, uterine inversion, preterm labor, PROM, postdatism. Okay. Some little I might include RH also, one or two questions from RH, so that you revise RH also and come. So when you read and come, you'll have a better, what do you say, better use of this class. So just give 1 hour time, read those topics and come to the class. Okay. Right. So very good morning, Asad. I didn't know you were there in the class. So I am just telling the EDD again. So how do we calculate the expected date of delivery is by LMP plus 9 months plus 7 days. This formula is applicable for regular menstrual cycles, for regular patients with regular menstrual cycle of 28 days. Okay, but this is little difficult for me to remember. So what calculates? What I do is modified Naegele's. Modified Naegele's is LMP plus LMP minus 3 months plus 7 days. LMP minus 3 months plus 7 days. Okay, that's for 28 days. But if you have a patient who's having 25 days regular cycles, so what should you do? You have to minus 3 days. 28 minus 25, it will be minus 3. So 7 minus 3, 7 minus 3. Similarly, if they have 30 days cycle, it will become 7 plus 2. Understood, Asad? Thank you, Krutika. And one more thing is, if you have irregular cycles, if you have irregular cycles, If you have irregular cycles, what will you do then? Can you use these formulas in irregular cycles? You can't use these formulas for irregular cycles. So for irregular cycles, depending on in which gestational age she is, if she is in first trimester, you have to use crown rump length to estimate the gestational age or the expected date of delivery. This gives gestational age plus or minus 5 to 7 days difference. That's the most accurate which we can get. Second trimester, you have to measure biparietal diameter. Actually, Varsha, you are very appropriate. It is transcerebellar, most appropriate. But most exams, they don't give transcerebellar. So unnecessary loading your brain. So I just tell BPD now. Okay. And this will give us plus or minus 2 weeks difference. The EDD will be plus or minus 2 weeks difference. Third trimester, we use femoral length to measure the gestational age. And that gives us plus or minus 3 weeks difference. So obviously, which is the best way of measuring the gestational age among crown rump length, BPD and femoral length? Crown rump length. So for irregular cycles, this is the thing you use. For regular cycles, this is the thing you use. Is that clear? So that's for today. So yes, thank you guys. No quote for today. I think quote for today is very good, Anupam. Excellent. You can just see highlights. I don't tell you have to struggle yourself by not seeing anything. And I'll also, tomorrow's topics are this. Tomorrow's topics are these. And I also tell you, I always do this thing from my, I always, whenever I always don't wait for others to appreciate me. It is you have to appreciate yourself. That is when you progress further. So, what I can give you one advice is you keep a target for today. You keep a target for today. If you have completed this target, go watch IPL for 30 minutes. You're rewarding. For you, IPL is something very important. So, you can reward yourself if with IPL for 30 minutes if you complete your target. Okay, so it is always good for you to uh, appreciate yourself also. Okay, if LMP is 7th March 2020, EDD will be 11th December. No, 7 plus 7. 7 plus 7 will give us 14. 14. 3 minus, you minus 3, 12. It will be 14th December 2020. It will be 14th December 2020. Right. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Have a great day.